There we go. There's the audio. Right, bear me 1 second. Testing, testing, testing. Yep, okay, we are good to go. Right. Again, I apologise for looking like I am sitting under a lamp at the moment, but I technically am. And unfortunately, my living room curtains, which is where I'm recording, filming this, thank you, is well, it's very, very bright. That's the thing about this room. It's nice when I want it to be bright and well lit, but unfortunately, it kind of sucks for my camera because it would. Whilst I could kind of correct the filter for it, it's only I would have to like then cancel that correction later as the light. It's because unfortunately I face I face north, so in the morning my bedroom window gets an incredible amount of sunlight because it's on that side. But in the evenings, this room, which is on the west side, gets an incredible amount of sunlight, which is great when you want it. And don't even get me started. But yeah, it's one of the reasons why my blackout curtains have been doing such a wonderful job recently, because it's just literally just as the sun comes over, it basically goes straight into my bedroom, which is unfortunate. That and the pigeon that lives on my roof, my nemesis. Right. Okay. So enough waffling. Let's do the usual intro for anybody who's new to the channel. There's not going to be any audio or video from what we're watching tonight, mainly because of copyright reasons. This is like a sort of commentary watch long, hence why I call it BYOC, bring your own copy. To help facilitate that, we have the synchronized timer, which should be right about there, which I always get wrong. There you go. See? So I always have to test it as well, just to be on the safe side. See? And then basically, starts whatever. To help with that, I will do a 5-second countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, I'll press play. I'll start the sync timer. And it's normally within like a second or so that things are synced up. But obviously, sometimes Twitch can be a bit finicky at times. But if you need to use the bathroom, put the cat out or whatever, that's what the synchronized timer is for. And you can just move along a little bit, however you want to. Right. Okay. So a little quick swizzle. Right. Yeah, I have been a very productive boy today. Right. This film, 2001. Now, obviously, we live in 2026 right now, but this was originally produced and released in 1970. So that's like what? 56 years ago ish, depending upon exactly when. And it's an interesting film, I will put it like this. Now I'm going to assume that people at least they've seen the memes, they've the load, there's a reference to it on the loading screen as the stream was starting up. Did you spot it? But it's a very thought-provoking film in many ways. Now, Stanley Kubrick, I'm sure it's Kubrick, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm sure it's Kubrick. Yeah, Stanley Kubrick. He is one of those, or was one of those directors who really good at his job. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Daisy scene. But it was also a bit of a hard worker. Now, the thing to keep in mind is, obviously, CGI didn't really exist then. I mean, there may have been some, filming techniques and things like that to make things. I suppose you could almost call it like the precursor to CGI, like like when in Superman, where they would film something and then they would film something in front of it, so it had like multiple layers and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of. I think probably 99.9% of this is what we would call practical effects. Yes, it was very, very quick, but there's a couple of bits which even today, if you don't know how they were done, are just like, and I'll point them out as and when they become quite obvious. But there's a couple of scenes that are very, very like, how the flip did they do that back then? Like when you know the answer, it's like Oh yeah, of course it is. But imagine, because I'm trying to remember, what was it when I was trying to remember when was it when Alien came out and when Star Wars came out? Because I think Star Wars was 77, wasn't it? I'm sure Adam Savage would be a great source of explanation. Yeah, he absolutely loves this film, and honestly, this is one of those ones. When I first saw it, when I was a wee lad, I did not get it. I really, really did not understand what the flip was going on. It was made in 76, released in 77. Okay, right. Because I think for many people, especially in that sort of era, this was when the big, this was like the big operatic space opera type, not space opera, but what you would call a epic film. But as I say, when I was a kid and I first saw it, because when I was really starting to get into sci-fi and space and everything else like that. Again, this is probably a film my mum probably introduced to me, because she was a big influence on my choice of interests growing up, 100%. Oh, hello. Are you come to join us? Okay, indeed. Right. And yeah, I can remember really, really not getting it, but did think it was funny because there was monkeys in it. Yeah, I was obviously at that age when it's like monkey, and found, well, and now they weren't monkeys; they were proto-humans. But at the time, young me thought monkeys. This is going to be a funny film. It was not a funny film. It was, yes, the furry heat sink. Oh God, yeah. Speaking of furry heat sink, she's been sitting on the windowsill, and she's now just sat on my lap, and she's like a furry hot water bottle. Aren't you? You hear me talking, so you thought you'd come and join, don't you? Yes, you are. You have been very good recently. Now, it wasn't until, like, I think it was college time, which for me would have been when I was about sort of 16-ish, 17-ish, then my love and appreciation of sci-fi really came back with a vengeance by that point. When you're a kid, you express an interest in certain things, and the other kids go like, "Oh no," and stuff like that. And it has like a knock-on effect. Yeah, there was definitely a period of my point where I tried to avoid sci-fi stuff. But around college time, decent library, and I found the book, read the book, and oh my God, the film then make absolute perfect sense to me. This is actually one of the sort of ones that, if this had come out now, people would have been discussing it all over the internet and things like that. They probably call it like 3001 or something, but there is actually a book called 3001, which is like I think there's 4 in the Space Odyssey series. There's obviously 2001. There's, I think it's 2010, which is the next one with Rob. I can't remember his name. Dude who was in Jaws is in it. I quite like that one. That one I really like because of the ending of it. No spoilers. Don't spoil it for people who haven't seen it. But I love the ending of 2010. And then I think it's 2065 or 2060, something like that. It's not bad, but it's just like it's got that sort of middle book problem. The ones either side of it are actually pretty decent, and then there's this further sequel, and I think it's the last in the quadrilogy, called, I think, 3001, and it does explain a few things, but it doesn't explain everything. And that's one thing, sort of roundabout way of this film. This film really doesn't explain that much. Now, that's something I'm a bit grumbly about with modern films, especially more thrillers or adventure types and things like that, is they sometimes explain things a bit too much. This is kind of presented as is, which is good because it's also helped to keep things, keep it kind of relevant as people talk about it over the years and blah, 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 blah. The downside is it kind of almost backfired, because now I've read the books and the further stuff, I can conceptualize what is going on with it, especially towards the end. The end is very, very odd. I will say. But once you find out what is going on and what is happening, it all does make sense. But that is something that obviously, again, this is obviously way pre-internet, so there was no real like no director's cuts, there's no commentaries, apart from obviously what folks like us are doing. But it's, yeah, this is for me a very thought-provoking film. And if I remember correctly, and I can't remember the exact time frame, but there's somebody worked it out that there is no spoken dialogue for I think the first 20 minutes once the film starts. There's a lot it really does make use of the absence of sound, especially in some of the space sequences, because obviously there's no sound when you're in space and things like that, and it really does kind of play into that. And as I've got older, and this is a film I've rewatched probably every 5 or 6 years or so, but I have definitely come to appreciate this film more and more as I've got older, and I can see the genius behind it. And it's just little bits and pieces that, honestly, if you ever get the chance to read the book's not bad. But then watch the film right after. I'll say right after, now that's one way of describing it. This is actually one of the sort of ones I would say that the book and the film kind of go hand in hand, because there's a lot of showing. There's a lot of showing in this, whereas in the book, by nature, it tells you, like, it gives you the name of the, well, it's what we would call a name of the proto-humans. The monolith is slightly different as well. So there are differences between it, and in many ways I think that the choices they made that made it different actually did improve it. So you can almost think of it like as an adaptation, but in many ways the book explains things more, whereas this film is much more visually impressive, and also, importantly, orally impressive, because of course it also has that epic music right at the beginning. So, speaking of, let's get ourselves ready. Now, I know for a fact there are no post-credit scenes on this. There's scenes right up to the end, but this was like done way before the whole concept of like post-credit scenes was even a thing. So I can say 100% there is no post-credits. So 1 second, there's a cat. You right? Okay. She's just sitting peacefully on my lap watching the screen. This is like, Father, begin the film. I grow impatient. Right. Okay. So, as I say, I'll do a 5-second countdown and then we shall begin. Sorry, cat's in the way. Thank you. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Also, as well, I must warn you. Yeah. Flashing images and fret. There's a lot of darkness right at the beginning of the film. Oh, flashing lights and strobing patterns, yeah. Especially towards the end, yeah. Yeah, because this was originally shown in the cinema. So obviously this would be the bit when everyone's getting down. I was like, look, get to your seats, the film's starting, move your butt. So this is like the warning, it's like, the film is about to begin. But it's also to help to build up the tension and everything else like that. The amount of people who don't realise that, it's like, yeah, this was imagine if they had IMAX back then and seen this. God, that would have blown my frigging mind. God, yeah. If Kubrick had access to like IMAX cameras, what could he have done? Yeah, it's still, there's nothing visually. Again, if you're watching this on like YouTube or whatever later, yeah, don't worry, there is no visual. There's, but yeah, Kubrick having access to like IMAX systems would have just. Oh yeah, you might want to turn your head, if you're watching this on headphones, you might want to turn it down just a smidgen about now. Just a smidgen. Because it's gonna get loud. In the beginning, which is kind of what it's supposed to represent. Yep, told you it's going to get loud. There you go. So, and again, don't worry, there's still no visual. You're all right. It's all good. Yeah, I think they don't understand the amount of people be like, "Film's not working." No, it is working. This is all part of it. Okay, it's calming down. Still giving what the fudge vibes. See, I would love to have seen this like when it first came out in the cinema, but yeah, this was like unfortunately 6 years BC, as they say, before Chris. There you go. It's all calming down now. That's basically get in your seats. Quiet. Just quiet. There we go. Here comes the music. Subtle. But it's so recognizable. And I believe the proper name for it is also Sprok Zarathustra, or something like that. Oh, look at that! Oh, was sprak Zarathustra. Oh, bum 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 bum. That's one heck of a moonshot right there. If you put, you know those Artemis shots when they were showing back from the. This is basically literally what they saw when they came back out from the other side of the moon, and just, all I could think of was this intro sequence. Oh, here it comes. Oh, yeah, you know that someone on the Artemis was just like, as they were, coming back round to the terminus, seeing the sunlight coming over the Earth and the Moon, was humming this in their head. I know I would have done. Oh, that music. Absolute perfection. Yeah, there's certain things in this which are just so iconic and memorable. Like, the dawn of man. So yes, this is. Yeah, it's there is, as I say, that the book does go into this section of things in a little bit more detail and gives a bit more context to things. Does explain stuff, but I think the film, I think they're just as good, just in different ways. But yeah, here we are. It's like, now, if I remember rightly, this is what we would now call, I think, Kenya, or that kind of area. The wind blows. It's like, yeah, see, look, no CGI, just practical effects, maybe some camera trickery for sure, of course, but yeah, everything you are seeing, it has a physical presence in some form or another. So as you can see, it's like the not quite human skull there, and there's some kind of beastie there. See, this is a bit like younger Chris me thought would be funny. So I was like, there's going to be monkeys in it. But no, they are not monkeys. They are proto-humans. And the tapir just sitting there chilling with the... They got no reason to fear them. Why not? They're just strange creatures that sit there scratching their butts. Yeah. So imagine filming this as well. Like, you're in these, I'm going to keep calling them proto-humans, suits, in what looks like on location. Again, let's say it's probably somewhere in around Kenya or somewhere like that to give it that proper vibe to it. You're going to be sweating your bits off. But, hey. This is like, wait, no, mine. Go away. Meanwhile, the tape is like, dude, seriously, there's enough for everyone. Calm your butt. So obviously, that, but yeah, that's a real leopard. Or I think it's a leopard. It's a real big kitty either way. That wasn't fake. Yes. The others. So again, remember, this came out in 2070. Wow. This came out in 1970. And those costumes are really freaking good. Like, look at the way the mouth moves. Yep, there you go. Yep, there's the those gits from the other side of the mountain or the valley, whatever it wants to be. It's like, oi, it's like, go on. So at this point, they are essentially the, I think you call them the common ancestor between humans and chimps. We haven't split yet. Now, because people think, well, I've seen some people think, I should say, that humans are descended from chimps. No. Humans are not descended from chimps. Genetically, they're our cousin, which means there was a common ancestor. Which at the moment is probably these individuals. Chimps are very similar to humans, very similar. But there's like only like, isn't it something like 0.1% genetic difference between us, and the vast majority of it is this organic bugger in our skulls. But it's not by much, but it was just enough. Okay. I'm just checking on the cat. And you just get up in the mornings and that's what you see. So it's like, ah. Look at that. I can never remember if that's a leopard or a jaguar. I think it's a leopard. It might be, yeah. I mean, obviously that's a zebra. Just like lying again. Yeah, I'll be chatting down this later. Obviously, this is just establishing. It's like, so, what are we going to do tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. I was thinking going down to the pool, sweating those others. Leopard spots are more dense. Okay. Yeah, they're definitely in that category of creatures I sometimes have difficulty telling the difference between. It's like crows and ravens. Like, I know there's differences, but I can never remember what. So yeah, in the book, should we say the what you call it, the main proto-human here is called Moonwatcher. Well, it's just more so they give him a, again, this is something it's a lot easier to do in a book than in a film, because obviously they can't speak. Yeah, the baby chimp. Seriously, look how freaking good those. those costumes are amazing. Oh, so he just wakes up like, and hey, what the fudge is that? Oh, that music. That is so. And I believe that in the book, this is supposed to represent what they are experiencing. So, and there we have it. The first time a perfectly straight line, has been seen on Earth. And then part of them was going, what the fudge is that? But it's calling to them. Yeah, in fact, it's just there. Where did it come from? How did it get there? Why is it there? Oh, and again, audio, it's like it's calling to them. It's like, come to me. It's just like poke, 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 poke. I mean, this is another iconic scene. You know, that has been memed and used and referenced in many, many other films. 1 by 3 by 9. So, yeah, they're all. And these proto-humans don't even realize it, but they're being changed. They're being essentially they're being given an update. It's like, good. You've now connected to the Wi-Fi router. Here is your update. Yeah, the hardware is not changing, but the software is. Oh, great. Now you're running on version 0.1. You should be on at least version 3 by now. Obviously, it takes time for the patch to be installed and to be applied, and then to be utilized. The first idea is about to happen. Wait a minute. Oh! Wait a minute. What if I... Wait. I'm having a migraine! Literally the first glimmer of consciousness of thought. Hence, the dawn of man. Bum 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 bum. Huh. This feels good. Huh. This is quite fun. Smack. It goes flying. That goes flying. But that's inside those creatures. I wonder. The first tool. The first weapon. So if you want to go upstairs, you can go upstairs. Okay. And with that, they're able to eat meat. And the brain, especially in humans and, well, I mean, it's better to call them humans now, requires a lot of energy to work at maximum efficiency. Wow. I fucked that one up, didn't I? But yeah, it's something like the brain takes, I can't remember what it is. It takes something like 25-30% of all resources, because it's almost like a supercomputer in terms of energy drain. And whilst humans can, for the most part, survive without eating meat, we need to have that protein. We need to have that nutrients. And obviously, now today we can have substitutes, from like like lentils, protein supplements, and all that jazz. So now we can do it. We can. Back then, however, you couldn't pop down to Sainsbury's to get some multivitamins. So imagine what's going to happen when they discover fire. Okay, now picture this. You're in the other group. You're giving it large to the others who steal the pond. One of them's got this weird thing in his hand. He's just waving at you. It's like, yeah, whatever, mate, whatever. I mean, look at you. You're looking rather plump. Oh, what? It's been good eating over there, is it? Yeah, yeah. I think I'm going to have some of it. And then the leader comes along. So you can see he's already started to stand up. No. Bad. Then everyone joins in. The first murder. And the others are like, what the f? He just beat Jeff's. We just. No, sort this, I'm out. You lot are absolutely dangerous. So that's the group that goes on to become humanity, and the other one's what becomes the chimps, basically. And that transition. Some more good music. Of the Blue Danube. Look at that. Again, you can see that it's like a painting with a model that basically someone's just like pulling the camera back, but it still looks really freaking good. And the music as well is perfect. I honestly would quite happily shank someone to go into orbit. Even if it's just like on a, couple of times around the Earth or something like that. I would happily shank someone. I'm not lying. Either that or sell some internal organs. Not mine. Again, this sequence is just so well done. Hey, unfortunately, we didn't have a space station up and running by 2001, but hey, we're making progress. I mean, Artemis 3 is literally being built right now, and then Artemis 4 is apparently when they're going to be working on the moon colony. That's what I've heard anyway, or at least the moon base, not moon colony. So it could be very possible that within my lifetime, I get to see people living on the moon and working there in a permanent base. Yeah. Okay, this is one of the sequences I was talking about earlier. Like, people at the time, and even now, still struggle to explain how this sequence was done. Bear in mind, this isn't... Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? If not a colony, even like a working moon base, I'll be happy with that. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Now, how is she walking? Yep, see, grip shoes. You know, like in the Expanse when they have the magnetic boots. You know, back then it was basically grippy shoes. Now, obviously, she's not in zero G; she's simulating it, but yeah, that sequence there. So, for those who might be interested, how that was done was literally a glass pane of glass, and a pen was stuck on it in such a way so that when she just lightly picks it off, you can't see the stickiness that was keeping it to the glass. You notice they cut away straight afterwards as well. And then there's also camera angles and all that gubbins. Really freaking smart move. And there's a bit here that someone else has remarked on, reminds me very much of something in Star Wars. See, now, when I said there was like 99% practical effects, the only CGI is what's on that screen right now. This stuff. Yeah. And even then, that was probably like an animation or something. Yeah, that's literally the only CGI in the film by the original definition of the terms. Again, I know how this sequence was done. Like backgrounds, like turn it. See there, the people there. I think they call it like a. Again, I apologise to any movie people who really know the correct terms. I want to call this a composite shot, where they basically project onto it and then they film that sort of thing. But I very much accept that this could be the wrong term I'm using. But you understand what I'm trying to say. I mean, now obviously we can see it, but back then it'd be like, wait. Yeah, despite looking CG, all the guide screens from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy Extra. That's a very good point. Yeah, so those, what we would call CGIs in like this bit here, could have been just like literally just like, you know, hand drawn. It's very, very possible. Again, like a project onto the screen, someone types it up and goes onto that sort of thing. So for a film that's like, 50, 56, 57 years old, this is incredible. And it does look very that's the sort of outfit you would expect, like say cabin crew on an airplane to be wearing. Now this is another little good touch as well. Look at the floor. Notice how it's very slightly curved. And it's more pronounced, but because obviously they're on the the rim, shall we call it? Like Hilton Space Station 5. I imagine the coffee and everything in this place is probably a little bit on the expensive side. But the fact that they've got like they've got all the amenities you would expect to be in a hub thing. It's like, obviously this is worth it. Let's see. Why is he spinning around in the background? It's not. It's the station that's spinning to simulate gravity. That's going to be an expensive phone call. It's like, damn, I can't get reception. Such a kid's way of talking. Oh. Again, it's like talking to kids. This is accurate. I don't have any kids myself, but I do have quite a few nephews and nieces, and this is kind of the how you would talk to them when they're on the phone. It's like, what do I talk to you about? Yeah. Put your mummy back on the phone, yes. That's really very accurate. Ooh, $1.70. Which I suppose things have been adjusted, but it's like, yeah. Those chairs look very uncomfortable. Either that or they would be incredibly comfortable. Ah, the Russians. Yes, I want to say Leonard Rossiter playing the Russian dude. Yes, Leonard Rossiter. Which you probably won't recognise him if you're not familiar with a lot of British films, but he's in like the 70s and 80s. He was like in basically everything. So like what's it? So obviously there's working bases and things like that on the moon. And this is where the plot begins. Hmm. Hmm. For 2 weeks. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. For a couple of days. Yeah. 10 days. That's sus. Yeah, because it's like with it's like I think it's like the Antarctica Treaty where essentially it's neutral ground. I mean, you can claim certain areas and bit of stuff like that, sure, but it's like you can't then go to someone else's area and say, that's our area. It's like, no. That's a big no-no. And obviously, I hope they kind of keep to that logic going into the system and beyond. As he says, like, yeah, if someone's about to crash and they need an emergency landing, you let them land. Deal with the other stuff later. And yeah, that's the other thing as well. If there is a pathogen there, either that's come up from Earth, or it's something that has, for want of a better term, I'm going to say germinated there. Either way, this is all big no-nos diplomatically. It's definitely had that kind of, like, look, you're doing something sus. I can't prove it. But there's something going on. You're not going to tell me? Okay, fine. I can't force you to tell me. But I know something's going on. And then we have the trip to the moon, which by today's standards, I think takes about 3 days? 2 to 3 days? So obviously, of course. Food. Which, if you're in zero gravity, how are you going to eat? Like this. I mean, obviously the packaging will probably be slightly different, but essentially, yeah, this would be how you would eat. Because you don't want that stuff flying around and going all over the place. They've got fish, corn, peas, carrots, and I missed the red of it. Now, this is another good sequence, this bit here. You can probably figure out how it's done. But it's done very, very well. It's like, yeah. Dispenser mat. Yeah, that's basically how it's done. Yeah. That is so well done. So... Of course, the co-pilot and pilot. Yeah, I say you don't want like your burger and chips flying around all over the place even in a very well clean cabinet like that. See, it's basically like nutrient drinks. Here comes the captain to say hello to his only passenger. Oh. Yes. One of the most important things. How to use the bathroom in 0G. Yeah, you got to be very careful. So yeah, I'm just sulking I didn't get that job at the observatory again. I made myself sad. But never mind. These things happen. I didn't get it yet. And that captain was none other than legendary Ed Bishop. Oh, I did not know that. I've learned something today. Yes, from the classic show UFO. Wow. I mean, it would make sense that they would probably put a few people in there that folks at the time would recognise. I mean, they do that now with movies. Again, it makes more sense. I'm trying to remember when, because obviously Kubrick did Full Metal Jacket and The Shining, and I'm trying to remember when they came out. And that looks like a skull with the eyes, nose, and little legs. Ah, Earthrise. Oh, here's an interesting fun fact. Uh, Apparently, the Apollo 11 people, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong and Michael Collins, have described that moon dust smells like burnt gunpowder. And that stuff gets everywhere because it's not like dust on this planet which gets worn down because of weather and everything else. No, moon dust is, well, regolith, I suppose, is probably the proper term. Again, my memory is a bit fuzzy on that. But it's like, if you get some of that on your hands, it will stay there for ages because it's like sharp and everything. And it's why that whole image of, Neil Armstrong's imprint in the dust is still there now because it's like perfect for molding with. And I think, oh, that's such a cool shot. the dome opening. But I think that regolith mixed with the right materials actually makes a very good building substance. Like it's on a par with concrete type thing. You know, oh, it's such a perfect choice of music. No, I've got to be careful, I'm going to copyright. Although technically Blue Danube is probably in public domain, but still. Like, landing. Oh, again. Like, perfect landing. Absolutely perfect. Well, the pilot and co-pilot's like, high five. This is another bit as well. It's like, look, you've got the old composite shots there and everything, and then you've got the real models, like wind it down, wind it down. And once again, I apologise if I'm using the wrong term. So obviously that's all like people walking around there. That's not like models. That's not thing. That's just like something they filmed and they projected it at the right angle to make it look all jolly. There's like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different or 7 if you include that, and that still looks like a skull. Like someone's going like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and its landing struts make it look like it's squishing its arms. Small room, but hey, space. If you pardon the pun, is a premium at the base. And you're not going to have like a big grandiose hall just because. It's like, no, that shit's going to cost money. Excuse me. 1 second, this check something. Yes, this is where some. It's like, yeah, there's nothing on Earth that can make me talk about what I'm about to talk today, which is why we're not on Earth. It's like, Discovery? Question mark? I'm trying very hard not to spoil things. I mean, it's such a simple design for that briefing room, and it works. You don't need fancy stuff. You just need to say, okay, we've got the desks, we've got the podium, we've got screens for projections, we've got the obligatory flags, we're good to go. You don't need it to be fancy. Cultural shock. Hmm. I honestly think if you just add like 100 years onto the time frame for this, it's it's believable. Like, if it had been like 2001, it's 2101. Especially if we do manage to get a base up and running on with Artemis 4. That means it's serious if they're getting like really freaking serious if they're getting written oaths of like, yeah, to say I will just not say a word. That's like the equivalent of like, send it to me in an email so I have records of it type level of this seriousness. Yeah. I honestly think, you add 100 years onto this, onto time frame and everything. This to me is believable. Like, I could imagine there being a base, maybe not to that sort of level, literally within my lifetime. I could imagine the craft looking like that. It's all the basics, believable, and I think that's what made it so impactful in a way, is because in obviously 1970 when this came out, that's like 50 years in the future. So to them be like, yeah, I mean, it's not ultra complex. It looks believable. I mean, obviously, now and then things went belly up, but that's another good thing as well. Is obviously I know they had like proper science consultants and stuff like that for this one. Because Kubrick being Kubrick would have demanded for something like this there to be as accurate as possible, based on at the time scientific and engineering what do you call it? Knowledge at the time. Chicken. Yeah, and because obviously because they're that's actually probably quite nice. TMA one. Now this is where it gets interesting. Technically speaking, that's TMA two. Just obviously TMA one wasn't can't technically be. It gets confusing because TMA means Tycho-magnetic anomaly. Yeah, buried. TMA zero is what our proto-humans were poking around with at the beginning, but obviously you can't call it that because they didn't discover it until they get to here. It gets confusing. But you know, it's a red. There you go. 4 million years ago. 4 million. Now, there's something that happened on Earth around 4 million years ago. Can't remember what it was. It was quite important. It'll come to me. Also, yeah, it's the beginning of what we would call humans. The I think, and again, I want to get the term right. I think it's the genus human. Because we're Homo sapiens, but obviously there was like many versions of the what are technically humans that came before us. I love this shit. I'll say that. This is one. This is one of the reasons why I think this film has grown on me as I've got older. It's because my science knowledge has increased. My appreciation of the story and the should we say the filming and the making of it. It's just like, and they did all this in 1970. Damn. I'm now just visualizing that scene from Space 1999 when the Eagles come in, Moonbase Alpha. Oh god, that's a interesting series. There it is. TMA 1. Just imagine, right? Now you're humans, you find some weird anomaly type thing, so you start digging around it and you're like, again, that music's back. That's almost haunting, as if like, ooh. 1 by 3 by 9. I have checked. 2010 is not on Prime at the moment, unfortunately. But if you ever do get a chance to watch it, I very much recommend you do so. It's a different vibe to this film, but it is a continuation, and it does answer a few, but not all, of the questions that are raised in this. again, it's that music see, that's the thing with, I think, with games, with any entertainment medium, it's audio is such an important thing. Obviously, the costumes make sense, the set design makes sense, the plot design makes sense, but the audio, or sometimes quite importantly, the lack of audio, is very important. So even now, I'm getting goosebumps just hearing this music, because it's like the way it's building, like something's about to happen. Yeah, the last time we saw this, the species known as Homo or humans were, even the proto-humans, basically got a patch and an upgrade. Now it's the same reaching out to touch it as well. Such a simple gesture. Oh, headphones warning. I say now, headphone warning coming up. You might want to turn your volume down just a smidgen. Now, Ape has discovered the second monolith. Yeah, I can't remember exactly when it happens, but there will be a bit when there's a loud noise, so just, like I say, just a heads up. There we go. Yeah. And it's pointing out into the system. Now, in the book, it was Saturn. But I am so glad they changed it to Jupiter. It works better for Jupiter. And here we have the discovery. I've just realised something as well, where a design for a certain ship may have come from, the event horizon. I've only just realised it was a nod towards this. Towards the discovery. Yeah. Because again, this is another iconic ship. The command module, the umbilicus, and then you've got the dirty great big engines right at the back. Which is pretty much a nuclear reactor. You fire that bad boy up and then you just coast. Oh, there it is. Now that's an iconic shot right there. That is such an iconic ship shot. Oh. That's so... It's so simple, but it's like, yeah, you can almost see how the ship was, assembled. And of course... dealing with gravity when there is none. Because if you don't, your muscles can... Yeah, it still holds that final probably for... Yeah, I honestly, I completely agree. That is just one of those shots that is just like... Now, there's a few films I think do not ever deserve to be remade. This is one of them. Now, a remaster? Maybe. But remake? Hell no. It doesn't need it. And I imagine that the Kubrick estate and the everyone else who's got the rights to it will just be like, no. Yeah, it looks like that maybe a remaster. Maybe. or at least an upscale into like 4K or something like that. But the downside to doing that with older films is they were made with. There he is. They were made obviously with lower resolutions screens like cinemas and stuff like that at the time. So the problem with upscaling to something like 4K or 8K or whatever is should we say the natural defects that would crop in, not because they was made deliberately bad, but just because of the materials and the details of the camera at the time and stuff like that would show up more. Even that, it's like, yeah. Now, how did they do that? How do you think they did it? A dirty, great big, basically hamster wheel, basically. Yep. And of course, yeah, they would have to take all their food with them. See, now, so remember, it takes time for, which I've mentioned when the BBC 12. Remember, it's what do we call it? There's a time delay. It's probably 500 million miles. Now, that's one of the reasons why I sometimes swear at Prometheus, is because when they say they were 500 million miles out, it's like, that's Jupiter's orbit. I have a love-hate relationship with that film. I enjoy it, but I love to rip into it as well. Oh, oh, oh. I know a fun fact about the HAO. And that's Kenneth Kendall, an actual BBC Newcastle. Yeah, exactly, yep. He would be, again, to give the film authenticity and stuff like that. But I suspect some of you know this. But how HAL was based on a very famous, still now reasonably famous, computer manufacturer. IBM. Which is one letter off from HAL. Blew my freaking mind when I found that out. That's cold. See, now, this is also one of the reasons why I have a major objection to LLMs being called AI. They are not AI in any way, shape, or form. And I despise that was the name that was given to them. How isn't AI and also, another fun fact, I was this close to going to university to study and create AI, like how? Because of this film. Now that's important. Yeah, like I say, I've got to be very careful so I don't spoil things, but just remember that the film 2010 does go on to explain a few things. So I very much recommend watching it if you haven't already. So, different vibe, but still, in my opinion, a decent film. But yeah, this is what AI is. LLMs, large language models, are not. No, no, I'm gonna have a fucking aneurysm if I carry on down that path. So I'm gonna stop there. But it's like, yes, there's a reason why I really don't like those things. There's a this will be the last thing I'll say on it. There's a massive, massive difference between a LLM, which is essentially a sophisticated autocorrect, and a neural network. How is closer to a neural network? And those things are incredible. However, we're not there yet. Oh yeah. Maybe another 20 or 30 years. So yeah, remember that there was a time, like I said, I think it's a because obviously I'm gonna find out what it is. So let's say they're in orbit around Jupiter. Time delay from Jupiter to Earth. Communications delay is obviously dependent upon where Earth and Jupiter are. Is anywhere between 33 and 53 minutes, give or take. Yeah, technology we're not going to grow up enough for this. Yeah, humanity as a species is not ready in any way, shape, or form for true AI. We're definitely not ready for it as a species. Also, speaking of AI, if you've ever watched The Matrix, the there was like an anthology of animations, Animatrix, I think it's called. Also, very good. It may change how you view the machines in the Matrix universe. That's all I will say. But yeah, according to the Australian Space Agency, which is actually a pretty decent space agency, roughly, yeah, it roughly takes about 1.3 seconds to communicate from Earth to Moon. It can take anywhere from 3 to 21 minutes to communicate between Earth and Mars, again, depending upon where they are in the orbits. Earth to Jupiter takes approximately, as I say, 33 to 53 minutes. Earth to Pluto, I still classify Pluto as a planet, but a dwarf planet, is 5 hours. From Earth to the nearest star, which is Alpha Centauri, is 4 years. Yeah, and that's for one way. Son of a biscuit! Hmm. No, there's a very particular thing I want to say, but I will wait until the end of the film to say it. See what I said about the giant hamster wheel. That's such a cool shot, but it works. Like, right, right. trying to remember, who did they get? Oh, Douglas Rain. There we go. Oh, there we go. Dr. Frank Paul. Gary Lockwood. You may recognise him from a certain other sci-fi show that dealt with people trekking amongst the stars. Not Bowman. The other guy. It's such a simple design, but I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The dude who is voicing Howard does an amazing job of keeping his voice monotone. And not monotone, emotionless. Bowman's sitting there like, don't react. Don't react. That's a pickle. I think having Hal have that sort of flat, emotionless voice just adds to the, I don't know what you call it, creepiness factor. You know, that makes people no, not creepiness, unsettling. Makes things very unsettling. Like, I need to that's my light. There we go. You see, there we go. I can actually see properly now. See, now that it's got darker outside, the camera was having trouble picking me up. So there we go. So this is why I would have to be. Oh, that's now too bright for my eyes. 1 sec. There we go. Yeah, that'll do. I'm just a little bit too bright. But yeah, that's what I was talking about, like with the camera and why it's, yes, I could, you know, filter out the bright light, but when it starts to get dark, I'd have to turn that filter off, and it would be even more of a pain in the butt to do so. Yeah. Again, like I walk down this tube and then start turning. Like, I can kind of see how it's done, but I'm still very impressed with it. Like how smooth of a transition between the inner section and the outer section was. Remember what I said about the audio? Like, you don't need to have music and stuff in every scene, even when it's tense. So, like, we are hearing what? Is that Bowman or Poole? That's Bowman, yeah, because Bowman has the red suit. So yeah, we're hearing what he's hearing, basically. Little grabby arms on it. You can see where they got the design for the Nautilus from No Man's Sky, can't you? No, little pod. Iconic. Little grabby arms. And, it looks functional. Oh, yeah, so yes, Paul is in the yellow suit. To give you a sense of how. Right, yeah, because if they're going to Jupiter, they would have probably passed through the asteroid belt. And the common misconception is people think that the asteroid belt is actually quite reasonably packed. It's not. There's like miles between the asteroids sometimes, but on a cosmic scale, yeah, that is tiny. But on a scale we're used to, it's not going to be a problem. Now, what would be a problem would be flying through things like Saturn's rings and stuff like that. That would be what people think of, is like, like everything's like really close and frigging dangerous. But yeah, the asteroid belt really wouldn't be a problem. That's an iconic image as well. Just like Bowman, the red helmet, the projection on his face. It's just like. This film influenced so many sci-fi things, like either consciously or subconsciously. Plus, there's, like I say, there's the culture behind it, the memes. And it's like just that quietness. No music, nothing dramatic. We're hearing what Bowman's hearing. And then the pod pops up and like, hello. Okay, and breathe. Yeah, I mean, obviously the displays would probably be different and things like that. But yeah, I could 100% see someone sitting down and going, you know what? Those pods from 2001, they're actually not a bad idea. We could just, I don't know, little tweak there, change that a little bit, boom, 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 bosh, we're ready to go. It's like from Star Trek, for example, the whole data pads influenced the creation of what we would now call iPads and things like that. So it annoys me when people, like the Artemis program, for example, the amount of people who are sort of saying, oh, why are they wasting money on that? Went, no, they're not wasting money. They are spending money. People are getting jobs. It's also, despite some temperamental issues with the broadcast, was actually something that a lot of people, myself included, was very excited about. I'm just pissed off I got the time wrong and thought that it was going to be 11 o'clock launch UK time, not 11 o'clock launch US time. But that's on me. Yeah, that's a no. 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 And once again, people turn and say, why don't they move pod closer? Yeah, see, there's the thing is that when you're dealing with zero gravity, you really, really have to take inertia into account. And when you're buzzing around like that, a little, see, smart move, protects this thing, yeah. But yeah, when you're moving close to a delicate bit of tech, it's genuinely better to stop further away than you think rather than closer and then smack into it because of As I say, inertia. It is the deadliest SOB in space, and that is why we do not eyeball it. Private. See? Starship Troopers. Another great film. And again, the suits, the way they are working and presented is, for the time, what, they say, like, yeah, this is probably what suits are going to look like. I mean, obviously now they're not exactly the same. They've got more layers and bits and pieces like that, but this is supposed to be like future tech. So, again, it's sci-fi. You have to suspend your disbelief just a little bit with sci-fi. Because it stops being sci-fi. It becomes science fiction. Science fact. Yeah, again, the suits look believable. Not practical, but believable. Again, take into account it was 1970. Yeah, you got, what's it, like one tube going from his helmet to his back. It's like, yeah, no, that wouldn't be happening now. I wonder how long it took them to make those CGI. Yeah. I can't remember what episode of Star Trek it was, but the dude on the left there, he was the guy who basically, when they went through the barrier and everything, he got upgraded and started becoming a minor deity type, almost Q-like character. What episode did that come out, actually? That was Gary Lockwood, his name is. Gary Lockwood. Oh, wow, so this actually film was made in 1968. Wow. It's according to IMDb. Gary Mitchell. That's it. He played Gary Mitchell on an episode that came out in 1966. So, yeah, he was probably, given the nod because it's like, you were on that Star Trek show, weren't you? Yeah, people will probably watch it because you were in it, recognisable face and all that. Wait, the computer that is literally designed to not make mistakes has made a mistake. Hmm. Yep. So. came very close to saying something I didn't want to say. Very close. This is a problem with a film like this, is like, there's a part of my brain that is just screaming right now about a certain thing. But yeah, that's so... It's such a simple design, but it works. And I think there's something of some, not all, but some sci-fi shows and programs and films, wow, duplicate was out there, need to remember is you don't need everything to be fancy and, high tech as such. It just needs to be look functional. But again, I suppose it depends upon the style of the universe and everything else like that. Like in this, it makes sense for everything just to be simple. Because, why would you have extra stuff on a exploration cruise? You don't need it. And like just how the red dot is just so unsettling. Again, yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, the fact that having this conversation right in front of Hal is just... So basically lobotomize him. I'll say him, just, does a AI have gender? A true AI, that is. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's like I said, having this conversation right in front of him. Now, this is something you don't see in films much. Intermission. Wow, I forgot this was in there. Yeah, Essentially, again, I imagine there's probably a few young people who may watch this and don't know what this is for. This was literally so you could get up and have a wee, maybe get a drink or whatever. Now, I don't think it goes on for a long period. They do cut it out, but it's like, yeah, this is the chance now. Get up, stretch your legs, have a pee, and then when the music starts to play, that's like at the beginning. Get back to your seats, right the fudge now. And honestly, I kind of think that's something that for longer films should come back. Not all of them, but just the real long ones. The ones that are like over. What's it? I mean, this film's like, including credits and everything, is about 2 hours 15 minutes, which for the time would have been, we're used to like having long films now, but back then that would have just been like, it's like, oh god, my bladder's about to burst. Yeah, this is all about the intermission. Get your butts back to your seat moments. So that's the thing, that if they did do an intermission, they would have to have the equivalent of like this playing. It's like, the film is about to restart in 2 minutes. Get your butts back to the seat. But sometimes they used to play ads and things like that. It would be like, during the intermission, why not pop down to the concession stand and grab yourself a drink or some popcorn? Real sort of cheesy. I now want cheesy popcorn. Oh no, Chris, you played yourself. Yeah, I really want popcorn now. Yeah. Also, the music will be loud, but again, that's kind of by design, because it's so that people know it's getting close. Yeah, nice plate of cheesy nachos. Maybe big finger popcorn. Yeah. That'll go down a treat right about now. And here we go. Back to the discovery. So, I wonder where George Lucas got a certain idea for a particular shot in one of his films from. Perfect timing, yep. And I know Spaceballs did a complete riff on that bit as well, when it just kept going. And going. And going. So like I say, this is to say one of those films that has just influenced so much science fiction and pop culture without even people realising. Again, just that. We are hearing what Paul's hearing. Yeah. He's to be sitting there doing his thing. Yeah, operating the pod. Yeah, that I don't think I could do. I mean, I think I could do the fly in the pod part. I think I could fly on the ship part. But that bit, the space swim, spacewalk, whatever you want to call it. That no, thank you. No. Oh, this is a pod. It is moving on its own. Oh, that's not. And again, the little claws, that makes it look very suspicious, doesn't it? Yeah. Now, who has control over the pods? That's who. Bye-bye. I shouldn't laugh, but just imagine that, right? You're Bowman sitting there keeping an eye on things, and you just look and you just see, your crewmate just go flying past the window. Like, um, it's like, hmm, yeah. Again, no sound. Yeah, that if that had happened to me, that there would be soilage. Ah, new. Well, not so much new, but old fear re-unlocked. And I'm now remembering the intro sequence from Buck Rogers. Yep. I don't think he's. I don't think he's a no. But you at least have to try and get his body back at the very least. I mean, he could he could survive, but I don't think I don't think so. Yeah, you know that if this film came out as is now, there would be so many ignorant people, shall we say, complaining about, oh, there's like so many bits when there's like no one talking or no sound, and like, well, yes, it's supposed to be like that. You know, you're in the void of space. There's no sound. You, you really can't hear. Now, I'm not talking about people who are less intelligent. You know, I'm talking about the ones who deliberately don't even bother to try to learn. Like, there's nothing wrong with making an attempt at learning something and just not getting it. That's fine. That's okay. We all have something like that. But to not even try to just dismiss the information out of hand, yeah, screw that. Oh, that's such a simple sound as well. And he just looks out and all he can just see is eternity. I mean, granted, that's a pretty terrifying way to go. Just floating out into the void of space like that. Yeah, I don't think that's. I no, because the chances of him encountering like a rock or a planet or something is, if you'll pardon the pun, astronomical. Again, you know, Dave's focusing, he's keeping his eye on the thing. He's locked in, as it were. So, don't move your face because if you do, you will lose track of him. So, yep, focus, focus on the prize, as it were. Again, him just floating like that is so well done. I'm trying. Whenever I see things like this, I'm always trying to read what's on the screens as well, because I know for films like this, they all have functions, even if it's like a made up function just for the film. But it's like, like engine pressure or fuel levels or stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, yeah. By now he's no longer with us, but at the very least, she has to. You can't be going around littering in space. That just ain't on. Plus, the whole leaving someone out there. Yeah. Right, when I get back, I'm going to have a little chat with our computer. That's what Hal sees through one of his optical receptors. Hmm. Again, when I see like that text and stuff like that's the reason why I would like things to be, upscaled and things like that. But it's not a it must have. It's just like maybe it'll be nice. Oh no! Oh no! Metabolic levels, systems integration failing, cardiovascular shutting down. Yeah. Hmm. So, life functions critical, and of course, from their point of view, they just go to sleep and don't wake up. Yep, pulmonary functions, yep, system integrations failing, metabolic levels, yep, and and there goes the central nervous system. There we go. Flatlined across the board. Life functions terminated. Yeah. And there was like, what, three of them? Yeah, the three people. A five-person crew. Four of them are now dead. In the space of less than an hour. Assuming this, oh, here comes another iconic moment. Oh, that scene. Oh. Sorry. Oh, that is. Is it the thing? That's a shit. That is a definite. Well, balls. Yeah. I'm also convinced as well this film is one of the reasons why when I want to default to a silly name to give a character, I resort to Dave. I think it's because of this film. But yeah, that was very. How are you going to do that without your helmet, you numbnuts? Like, you forgot your helmet. I still can't get over that. Again, I know it's a physical model, but you know somebody somewhere, again, probably Adam Savage, knowing him, has got one of the scale models of the Discovery. Obviously, they would use different scales for like different shots and things like that. So something to keep in mind is they would have had to make sure those models were perfectly the same, just different scales. You know, you've got like your close-ups, your long range, your medium range, and any others they might need. Yeah, there would be a clenching if I was in Bowman's position right now. Just like, how the fudge am I going to get back on board? Bye, Frank. Now, if it was me, I would have a stipulation that if anything like that happens, launch my body towards the sun. Just point me towards the sun and then just metaphorically, ping. That way, I'll get there eventually, or the sun's gravity will catch me or something. And that'd be one hell of a cremation. That'd be freaking dope. Either that or burn me up in the Earth's atmosphere. One of those two, I'll be perfectly happy. Although I suspect from a health and safety point of view, yeah, I do suspect that from a health and safety point of view, they probably wouldn't allow me to burn a corpse up in Earth's orbit, just in case, which is fair enough. But yeah, given the options, given the resources, if it's my time to go, take what body parts you need from me to help people, and then the rest of me, even if it's just like in a little pod or something, throw it towards the sun. The ultimate cremation. I'm freaking badass. Ooh, speaking of cremations in the sun, I'm trying to remember, when did I last see that film Sunshine? Because that's another really good half sci-fi film that I really like, and it's been a while since I've seen that. Ending's a bit, but the majority of it is such a good film. Yeah, it's been quite recently, hasn't it? So yeah, there's a non-zero chance it's in the statute of limitations, as I call it. I'm to say I can't watch it off stream, but yeah, I think I think it was about a couple of years ago or so. And there's still more other things. It's like one that falls in my mind. But this is, and again the way all the arms and everything move. It's done so well, so smooth and everything. Like again, I know how it's done, lighting, projections, and all that stuff. But it just looks so good. I think from an intellectual point of view, from just like how would they design it, You know, if they kept exactly the same storyline. Oh, remember they kept showing explosive bolts on the door every time he got into the pod. Show don't tell. Yeah, part of me would like to see how they would make the designs of like the pods or Discovery and things like that, but at the same time, I would not want them to even touch making this in a remake. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this is maybe about. You see what it's about to do. And no sound until now. Oh. See what I said before about sometimes the absence of sound is just as important as sound itself, and the fact it doesn't come back until the airlock is sealed and all the air starts to come back in. So, why does he have a green helmet? Well, Hal had the other one, so I think this is actually probably the first time. Yeah, probably not last. This was definitely the first time I legitimately feel sad and upset about a computer. Yeah. Again, it's that the flat monotone is what makes it. It's just yeah. Oh yeah, we'll come back to that. Yeah, the little Hal thing as well. It's it just being this. It is. Oh, that's horrifying. That's like a fear. Is being aware of if ever that happens, I'm sure I hope it doesn't. But being aware that you can feel your own mind slipping away. That is horrifying. Because the way Hal's acting is like with somebody who's got dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that. No, sometimes it's slightly different. He's now regressing. IBM. There you go. That's Hal's birthday, 12th of January. There's another iconic moment. This is seriously, this is rough. Yeah, because he's getting him to do that so he knows what circuits to turn off. Notice the eye bit's getting smaller. Oh, hello. Yeah. So, magnetic anomaly. Hmm. Yeah, and again, what happened around 4 million years ago on Earth that pointed towards Jupiter? And now they're at Jupiter. Here we go. To infinity and beyond. Yeah. Now imagine younger me, younger Chris. First time you watch this film, I was, and in many ways still am, a emotionally sensitive person. Especially when death is concerned. Yeah. Younger me cried my eyes out at that part. Can you see it? Just floating there. So, picture this. You have TMA 0 in Kenya, or wherever, on Earth, points towards Jupiter. They go to Jupiter. Sorry, to the moon, sorry. the one on the moon points towards the one in Jupiter. They go to Jupiter and they find an even bigger one. Oh, yeah. This is going to be the part of the film that for many people, it's going to get weird. But just picture you're in the 70s, maybe you have partaken of, how can I put this in a delicate way, entertainment medical substances, and then you get to this part of the film. It's like it's lining up. Yeah, this is the part of the film where I think I just could not understand it. Once I read the book, it does make sense. It's also incredible how such a simple image of a monolith being, with the dimensions of 1 by 3 by 9, and such, it's just so simple. I think that's one of the reasons why it's been so memorable, because it's simple. I mean, wasn't there a reference to it in one of the trailers for the Barbie film a few years back? Or am I misremembering that? A few years? Notice how everything's lined up, a celestial alignment, as it were. Yeah. And remember, every time we've heard this weird music and stuff like that, something's happened. It's like what they call it, like an audio cue or something, isn't it? Holy crap, it's 8:15 already. Shows how invested I am when I am not paying attention to the clock. It's like a mouth opening, isn't it? Like you've got the eyes, and then there's a... semi, like all lined up like that. Mmm. If I remember rightly, the odds of them being lined up like that, it's not impossible, but again, pardoning the pun, it's astronomical. Because of like different orbit periods. Oh, it's in the middle, yep. It's lining up. Yeah, that's the thing. Planets don't. Yeah, this is when it's going to start to get, like I say, weird. Mm-hmm. So yeah, picture the scene. You're sitting there. It's like, what, 1968, 1970, whatever. You have partaken of some educational, some recreational material, and then this happens. Again, in the book, it does it. Yeah, that. That'd just be like, mm-hmm. Now, here's a bit of a clue for anybody who is struggling to think what's going on here. not something they often show in sci-fi films like Stargate, sometimes Star Trek, when they're going through what could be best described as a wormhole. Or the slipstream. Or FTL. So if you have that in mind, this section does make a lot more sense. But this film has always, from right at the beginning, been more about show, don't tell. Even though I just told you, but yeah, the way things are going past, like those like stars, galaxies, or maybe they're going to a different dimension. It's never 100% explained. It's hinted at, but even in the books, it's just like, yeah, he just goes somewhere else. Yeah. You know, someone's mind was absolutely exploded watching this in the cinema. Just sitting there like, Phil, you alright? Oh. Wait, how would you show something to the human mind that cannot even begin to comprehend it? A bit like right at the beginning, when those proto-humans got an upgrade, and suddenly their mind was expanded. Yeah, how would they communicate that to others? Now again, I will freely admit, like I said at the beginning, the first time I really did not friggin' understand what the flip was going on with this. But like I say, reading the book, discussions with people who are more knowledgeable about this type of thing than me, and of course just general consensus with people who have watched it and friends. I'm not going to claim I have a perfect understanding of it, but I have more of an understanding of it. Like, some people might say that, oh yeah, this bit where it's going like all trippy and things like that is like he's going through somewhere else. Again, that's the only way to describe it. He's just not... He's not where he once was. I mean, this section of the film is literally called Beyond the Infinite. Like, yeah, to infinity and beyond. So, yeah, this is a nod towards that. Buzz Lightyear. And as I mentioned before, the film 2010 does explain some of these things, not all of them. Or at the very least, it's more sort of like, oh, that makes a bit of sense now, but it doesn't outright, lay it out for you. Because yeah, I think that's one of my biggest gripes with modern films is sometimes, again, not always, but sometimes they explain things too much. Again, I'm getting like No Man's Sky vibe. Yeah. The Atlas. Yeah. That's like almost like he's flying underneath the current dimension or something. That's the thing. I think when you over-explain things, it takes away from it. Now, again, some things I think do need explaining, but when you're literally dealing with something that is beyond human comprehension, it being weird and funky, trying to explain it exactly what it is, it defeats the object of it. I know some people have hypothesized that this is like the world to which he got sent, but it's like, that's a very weird looking world. But again, that's the point. That is the whole point. So it's cat. It's such a simple effect as well, just like, right, for this scene, just make it weird. How weird do you want, Mr. Kubrick? Yes. What about if I put a blue negative filter on it, and as you're flying over a canyon? Yes, more weirder. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's weird. Plus, there was a few sci-fi films that had these kind of like weird, almost like lava lamp effects going on. That was just the style at the time. Hmm. It's like he's in almost like a negative version of the universe, or an inverted version of it. Maybe, possibly. The land itself looks alive. Look at it, the way it's undulating. That's a great word. Undulating. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I made that No Man's Sky reference earlier. I would like to speak to Sean Murray and say, that's the thing, even not consciously, because Sean Murray is probably a few years younger than myself, so there's a non-zero chance he's watched this film. And I imagine, the designers for the rest of his team as well. But yeah, 100%, I would not be surprised if, spoke to Hello Games or whatever, and they said, yeah, we just sat down, watched 2001 one day and went, that'll be good, yes, we'll have that. I would not be at all surprised. Seriously, No Man's Sky is a great game. It's one of those ones I keep coming back to. The last thing with the moving that back to a form of reality. Interesting. Yeah, dude is like, what the? Yeah, how would you, even if you could communicate back with somebody on Earth, how would you explain that? I mean, that is like, what? I don't think I could cope with no windows. I mean, it's a. If you ignore the floor, that would be a really nice hotel room. But that floor is. Yeah. Like heavy breathing. Yeah, no shit. Like, oh. Oh, that's. Oh, that. Oh. Mm hmm. Yeah. Yes. Remember, time and space are connected. This is where things get very trippy. But again, it's just getting weird, but in a good way. But there is a logic to it. That's the thing. Now, the 2010 doesn't exactly explain it, but I think one of these sequel books does talk about this section and gives a little bit more of an idea of what's going on and why it is the way it is. But I cannot for the life of me remember if it was in one of the books or if it was like a fan theory I read on the internet or something like that. So take that with a big pinch of salt. Yeah, I mean, seriously, ignoring the flooring, that would be a very nice hotel room. Now, is it sort of thing you expect now, like at the Hilton or the Regency in London or something like that? One of the old school hotels. And yeah, he's older, a lot older. Like if you assume he was in his early 30s on taking the Discovery mission, he's probably like what, late 50s in that, maybe older, mid 60s. Hmm. Like we're at that point in our timeline, are we? Obviously, we know he has a bathroom, but where does he get his food from? It's one of those. Yeah, don't worry about it. No, he just encountered a species that can yeet him across the known universe and beyond, and then materialize a hotel room around his pod. I think manufacturing food like in a Star Trek style replicator is probably not beyond their capabilities. Nice just again. Yeah, nice bed, got a table, a desk. Yeah, that would be a lovely hotel room. Just that flooring. Mm, I think that would keep me awake at night. Unless there's like a light switch, obviously. And as I have recently discovered, when I get a good night's sleep for an extended period of time, it does absolute wonders for my mental health. Yeah, look at that's like a properly arranged. You got meal, wine, probably some butter and a roll there. Yeah, that's what's that? Probably like a little sauce pot there. I mean, that looks. Was it some chicken? Possibly some veggies. I mean, if that's fake, it looks incredibly. Oh poo! I've dropped my glass. That's a pickle. Now we see very old Bowman. never been in as posh a room as that, but I have had a upgraded room used by the boss of the most lavish hotel. Nice. Yeah, I've not been. Ooh. Yeah, I've not been in hotel rooms that good before, or that posh, but it's. I've seen pictures of them, so that counts. The monolith's back. Remember, each time the monolith turns up, something important has happened. Like it's jump started, or there we go. The Star Child, which I believe is the proper name for that. And also, the music. Basically, humanity's on its next stage of evolution. Or at least one of them is. Boom, boom. I've seen a few live performances of people playing this music, and the person playing the drums, you know, that's like, yes, this is the moment I was born for. And then of course it's the person with the cymbals. There you go. The evolved human. Well, wouldn't actually technically be human anymore, would they? We went proto-human to human, and that's human to star being. Okay. The thing I need to say, it's with regards to how, and I've decided I'm not going to say it because it relies on information that comes from the film 2010. Hello. But all I will say is I do not blame Hal. Hal is innocent. That's all I'm going to say. Yes. See? Thank you. You come to join me again. I know. Thank you. Right. So, yeah, that is me done for tonight. Let's just stop the tracker. Synchronized timer. There we go. So yes, next week I will be starting a new character for Guild Wars 2. Something I found out quite recently is, and I mean when I say recently, I mean like literally yesterday. I found a website that had some builds for what are called low impact builds, which are setups and guides to basically playing a character in Guild Wars 2, but not having like 6 million buttons to press, which is something that I've always sort of struggled with, and why I kind of had to lay off with the with my rogue that I was playing a little while back. And the one I have found for me works almost, I'm not going to say passively, but it reduces it down to like about 4, maybe 5 buttons, which is a lot more simpler, while still being reasonably good damage-wise and stuff like that. Now, granted, some of the characters' classes are a little bit more fiddly and complicated, and they can pump out ridiculous numbers. But this has been, and I've been trying out a few of them just to make sure they're okay. And honestly, these are actually pretty decent. Like, some of them have been updated, some of them are for the older system, so they're not as perfect or exact as the, before. But this has done really well, and I'm now going through a lot more characters and trying out some of the new ones. But for this particular playthrough, I am going to be sticking with what's called the engineer, and they call it the mechanist or the mechanic, whatever you want to call it, will be, because you have eventually, once you get up to the build is complete, you have like a giant mech following you around and helping you out. It's a ranged, focused build, with the mech handling the other bits and pieces. It's pretty much, as I say, a lot of passives are used. So it's not necessarily, as I say, a I would not be able to do high-end stuff with it, but I would at least be able to contribute. Now, if I was in groups or something like that, I would at the very least be able to make a decent contribution towards things, which is what I've been looking for. It's partly because like the reactions around my hands and things like that. I haven't tried all of them out, but all the ones I have tried out have been like, okay, I'm liking this, I'm liking this one, I'm liking this one. So I am 99% confident that this mech build, because I've tried a variant of it already, and it's one of the reasons why I want to like try it again. But this time from the beginning, I'll be doing like the story stuff. I'll also be I will be playing it off stream to help level up the character as well. But also because there is, how can I put it? There's a lot of benefits to having multiple characters and playing off stream and things like that. But the story for this particular character, I will be playing on stream because I've still got my main off stream character, which I'm working through on the story. But yeah, if I get stuck on like thinking, I need to be a bit more powerful, then I'll go off and do some leveling and things like that. But it's now that things have clicked for me with Guild Wars 2, and I mean properly clicked for me. I'm at that point now where it's like, I think I can do a full playthrough, or at the very least make an attempt at it. Now, this is probably going to be a long playthrough, probably on par with my Final Fantasy XIV series, which I will be going back to at some point. Not right now though, because I'm playing Guild Wars, but it will be basically when the next expansion for Final Fantasy XIV comes out. I will probably go back to that at some point, because there's a lot of stuff that has been added, and I mean a lot. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's like I say again, whilst touch wood, my mental health is definitely on the up at the moment in the positive aspect. I'm not trying to put that down, put myself in down, but obviously I have to allow for the fact that I could take a dip again. But at the moment, that's a problem for future, Chris. For now, I'm riding this wave. Things are improving, like much better than I ever suspected they would, just from getting some decent repeated night's sleep. The underlying issues are still there, but they're becoming a lot easier to manage with. So, it's put me in a good mood. It has put me in a good mood. So things have worked out well. Obviously, I will be still playing Star Trek off stream as well occasionally because of obviously the events and a few of the other bits and pieces. But for now, I will say goodnight and thanks for joining me, everybody. And it's some good news. Honestly, it's like, again, before I sign off again, it really has made a major difference, like mentally speaking, how much I'm getting a good night's sleep. Yeah, again, yes, the underlying issues are still there. But because I've got more mental energy, it's easier to cope with. Yes, I still slur my words occasionally, especially when I'm tired, because I'm getting, like I am now, I'm starting to get tired. But it's much easier to recognise when I'm doing that, and things like that. So it's like, again, it's like the rough edges have been smoothed off. And obviously the cat has been very, very, I know, see, you're getting all affection, aren't you? Right, so I'm going to say goodnight. Good night.